Knowledge to begin until I finish this song, cause the rhyme gets rougher as the rhyme goes on. You sweat as you step about to get hype, or should you just listen to the man on the mic? Physically you were here with me, but how could you tell if it's meant to be hip-hop if you're not mentally as well? Those are the spiritual words of Rakim. Got a great show for y'all today. And I'm gonna come at y'all Nizex with this one. Coming at y'all real hard. Because I've been repeating it over and over again. Hip hop is an American culture created by the children of the 1960 civil rights movement. There it is. So that's Generation X. 1960 is the beginning. 1980, 20 years. We'll say, 79 to be, zero correction, so we'll say 80 is Generation Y or millennials is the beginning, However y'all want to do it, on the cusp, all right. But it's cool to be at the head of the generation. It should be. I'm smack dab in the middle at 71. And I'm proud of Generation X, except for a few. Of course, I'm not going to get along with all my brothers and sisters. We're going to disagree. All right? Like in the concept of the term gay. I'm telling you that there was a show called Three's Company. And in that show was the main character, the main protagonist was Jack Tripper. Now Jack Tripper needed a place to stay. And these two Johns, females, they needed a new roommate. Their roommate left. So they knew Jack. Why not Jack? But the landlord, Mr. Roper, he wasn't down with that. He's a good Christian man. Nah, you can't live here with two girls. No. I don't need any hanky-panky, quote unquote, going on in my building. You know what I'm saying? Y'all gotta be, only married couples could, rent together. And that's how it was back in the day, right? And you're talking about 67, not too long ago. You know what I mean? Yeah, you had to have, some kind of documentation or something, or, you know what I mean? So, what happened was, Jack decided, he found out he was gay, or the rumor was that Jack was gay, so he didn't, quote unquote, like women like that, or he wanted to be a woman, whatever psychological philosophy or philosophical psychology you want to analyze when dealing with the LGBTQIA+. That's what we know it as today, the acronym. We're in the midst of the acronym wars. And so Jack decided, pretended to be gay in order to live with Chrissy and Janet and Chrissy. And there it is, that's the story. He wasn't acting. You see, the great Bill Duke, who's one of my all-time favorite actors, right, said that acting is not pretending, it's becoming. You become that character, you know what I mean, to sell it to the audience. You have to have trust in the writer and the director, not to mess your head up. We'll analyze that ideology a little bit later on. But like I was saying, Jack Tripper pretended to be, quote unquote, hateful of women, or wanted to be a woman, or whatever, like we're saying, we're trying to figure out the psychosis or the philosophy of the LGBTQIA, whatever. And that's the beginning of it. So he would, act like this, and he'll do this, or but not act, but he was pretending so that he could stay with two Johns, right? So his friend that lived in the apartment above him was jealous because he was living with two Johns. Like, you live with two Johns? Yeah, I live with two Johns. And y'all know John that's that Philly talk. That's where I'm from. And the Philadelphia Eagles are still world champions, so that's why I'm happy. I'm happy. It's the children that's sad, because gay means to be happy. Children. So all children are happy. They supposed to be happy. They supposed to be gay. They supposed to spin around, fall in the grass, and laugh. That's what children do. That's being happy. That's being gay. When did Jack Tripper turn to sexual deviancy? And we're supposed to be accepting, and we're supposed to be promoting that to the children? Yes, my shows is PG-13, PG-14. This is a PG-14 show. So my son turns PG-14, so he's starting to understand that, hey, Dad, and Peter Pan is cool and all, but the moral of the story was you have to grow up. You can't be Peter Pan and messing with Tinkerbell for all your life. Hence, you can't be gay your whole life, ninjas. But the rainbow ninjas want to be rainbow ninjas. I don't understand it, right? Hey, do you, but do it over there. Stay away from me. Now, am I a red or black or green ninja? That RBG is next level. But we'll get into that later on. But that's what I'm kind of introducing it to, the philosophy of the gaming community. As I take a sip of my coffee. For example, the game you see in the front of you is Echoes of Mana. And I'm just letting it, because I like the music a little bit and the screen looks pretty cool. But I'm going to jump right into this first video. Just to let y'all understand what the difference between black media and white media. You see, white media is on top because, hey, it's the biggest population, right? So the white media is, the populace. The black media is, we're small, we're in the corner. That's how hip hop started. Hip hop started with foundational black Americans, pop locking, dancing, putting graffiti on the wall. Right? Then you had some Puerto Ricans, Dominicans, Jamaicans. Like, hey, what are those foundational black Americans over there doing? Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. That's what we was doing. My parents was there. They told me about it all the time. Right? They was in the basement. Say it loud. I'm black and I'm proud. Right? Enjoying life, afterwards at the after party, go home, and, 9 months later I came. That's how it goes. That's the beauty of life. Now, instead of celebrating it, we find ourselves at war because, all right, we're going to go over here, we're going to have a house party, and then it's like, well, the white people, we can't be, we got to be included too. It's like, we're not excluding you, right? But when we come to your party, it's okay, y'all want us to party the way y'all want to party. All right, cool, it's your party. But then it's, if I bring Tyrone and Butch, right? Or like Barack used to say, Pookie and Ray Ray, right? That's Barack's ignorance, right? Like, I'm vouching for them. Like, I'm not gonna bring, if Pookie Monday, right, I'm not gonna bring him to, the country club. I'm just gonna be, me and Pookie gonna be, chilling at my crib or whatever, playing, Madden or whatever. And I'm thinking about getting that Madden 25 because, that's not, we will talk about that later on too, because Madden 25 already happened. Hence, we don't know what they're gonna call this one, right? Or they don't even call it that anymore because they're getting rid of the physical media. Yeah, I can rap all day about gaming and the gaming culture and the gaming community. And I'm going to explain the mathematics behind culture versus community over and over and over again until there's a understanding the difference between foundational black Americans as a community and the Hip Hop Alliance as the culture. And now here come Joy Reid trying to change the culture. It's like, no, Joy, you a late Jamaican. You know what I mean? You ain't Busta Rhymes, right? You is not Busta Rhymes. Yeah, kind of favor him, but I'm just being, see, that's me being messy, right? But here we go. I'm going to drop the video, and this first video is going to be Professor Black Truth. He's about to hit y'all hard. He's going to hit y'all hard with the truth. And I'll comment about it later. But this is the difference between the black media and the white media. So, and this is a fair use by the 1976 copyright laws and stuff like that. Peace. Greece and, everything like that. Turn down that music, and there it is.
That they're operating in our interests. Come watch them. And then when black people do that, they push nothing but narratives and propaganda meant to mislead us or to distract us or waste our time. They push agendas by people outside the community, and most of them are directly detrimental to us. Jemele Hill actually did mention Black News Channel, talking about how she knew people who worked there. Apparently these were her buddies. Well, I guess that's the reason why they were doing nothing but pushing immigrant issues, LGBT issues, feminist issues, anything but black issues. And that's what Roly-Poly does. When these bootlicks are talking to black people, it's all just a constant grift. It's nothing more than a scheme to collect just enough gullible Negroes to watch them that they can then go to try to leverage that to some white advertiser for some money or to a white political party like the Democrats. And you see what Roly-Poly did with that black audience. He basically prostituted them so that he could get some money from the DNC. And Jemele's just so proud of that. You all spent your adult lives trying to empower the white media and to attract as many black eyeballs to the white media as possible, and then you got the nerve to sit here and go, well, we ain't got one of our own because we ain't got enough white money. When you got the black media working to create a space for our people, an intelligent space, a meaningful space, you then turn around and call us Russian bots and you attack us, and you tell people to ignore us. Joy Reid and Shireen Mitchell were talking about Russians trying to imitate black vernacular and lingo. Well, Joy Reid ought to know, as an immigrant, that's exactly what she's done. Imitate us, our words, our history, our terminology, our slang, our style, all in an effort to try to give herself some phony credibility to turn around and attack us. And that's the reason why we don't have quote-unquote one of our own, Jemele, because we got people like you undermining us constantly.
Over the last 24 to 48 hours, so many people have been like, why don't you... Roland, Don Lemon, naming the Avengers crew, or, a ton of us. Why don't y'all get together and do your own thing? It's like, we need money to do that.
She's sitting here rattling off these bootlicks names. These are not heroes. These are anti-heroes. It's like a doggone monster movie marathon, just villain after villain. It's horrible. Jemele Hill, Don Lemonade, Angela Rye with lettuce and tomatoes on the side. Why don't these clowns form their own network, huh? Yeah, I got an idea. They could call it the Island of Misfit Tools. And does she actually call themselves the Avengers? I mean, talk about trying to put yourself on a pedestal. These clowns are more like the Foolish Four. Forget about the Fantastic Four, they're the Foolish Four. Or maybe the Legion of Coons, but just because you morons run around in your underoos at home, that doesn't make you superheroes. Nobody looks at them as saving anybody. Bootlicks like Jemele Hill are the problem. Jemele Hill made her reputation, such as it is, attacking black people in general and black men in specific. She's trying to be some sort of online shea butter hero to those clowns. And she sees how far that got her. So I have to wonder, what kind of black audience does Jemele Hill want? We don't need any more sellouts like Roly-Poly Martin or Jemele Hill or Don Lemonade who are just trying to get money from the Democrats or some white corporation. We need black people who actually operate in our interest so that we can get black people in the driver's seat. We don't need any more of these self-serving sellouts trying to be cheerleaders for the DNC or the RNC. What we need are people who are going to be cheerleading for the FBA. Now, these black journalists, quote unquote, they did call Trump out, and that's fine. But the problem is these people are DNC shills. They only seem to have a problem with racism if it comes from people who they're not on the payroll of. If Trump had run as a Democrat, don't you know that Jemele Hill and Roly-Poly Martin and the others, they would have given him a clean bill of health? They would have been out there trying to help rehabilitate his image. They would have been trying to downplay the whole Central Park 5 death penalty request that he was making. They would have been trying to whitewash his past housing racist discrimination suits. They would have been sitting there doing everything they could to whitewash the man, or should I say blackwash him. And there's plenty of precedent for it. You have plenty of bootlicks tripping over themselves to try to rehabilitate the image of Mike Bloomberg, or better yet, Joe Biden. They conveniently forgot about all the decades of racist stuff that Joe Biden said, all the racist laws that he co-sponsored or even wrote, like the '94 crime bill, or Biden's law as he called it. People like Jamel Hill, did you see them trying to disrupt the Biden campaign and say, hey, we got to call out all this racism he's doing? Did they call that out? No, they never did, and they weren't going to. Yes, they are right to point out Trump's racism. The problem is they're more concerned about Trump's words than they were about Bill Clinton and Barack Obama and Joe Biden and Kamala Harris's actions. And that's why people like Jamel Hill don't speak for us. They see themselves as having their own pathetic little boule club. Whenever you see some clown saying that they're part of this or that organization, you better start asking if they're with these so-called Black Greek frats and sororities, Divine Nine, whatever. And you'll find that these people are in that circle of boule, bootlick, butt kissers. The reason that Joy Reid is in the situation she's in is for the same reason the Democrats are in the fix they're in. Because they ignored their base, and they did it for decades. And then in the 1990s, were passing laws to attack black people, such as Biden's law. And then you had the white supremacist white lash against Obama's election. And what did he do about that? Nothing. The white right was clearly on the march, everything from front-loading the federal courts with Federalist Society flunkies to make sure that they could legislate from the bench, all the way to having states like Michigan totally neutralizing black voters with their so-called emergency manager laws. Blatant violations of the 15th Amendment, blatant violations of the Voting Rights Act and everything else. But what did the Democrats do about that under a so-called black president? Nothing. We're talking about the same Michigan where they had the Flint water poisoning crisis, which was the direct result of that emergency manager law. Who went to prison for that under the Obama administration? I can't think of anyone. Police and even non-black racist thugs on the street could murder black people with impunity. And what did Obama do? He came to town and sang a couple of bars of Al Green for Flint. That's what he did. He pretended to drink some water, which he didn't actually do, by the way. And then he told black people all these race killings, well, America's got problems. Yeah, Barack Obama's one of them. And then when Hillary Clinton ran, she didn't even bother to campaign in Michigan. She thought that she would get the black vote automatically. Why? Well, you gotta vote for me because the alternative would be worse, right? And this has been the pattern. Kamala Harris tried and failed to run from her past. Biden, on the other hand, had Simone Mamie Sanders as his front Negro crash dummy. She was on camera lying, claiming that Biden's law didn't cause mass incarceration. Why? That was the state's fault. You can't pin that on Joe Biden. And then when people pointed out, no, a provision in Biden's law gave billions of dollars to the states if they changed their laws to bring them into compliance with Biden's law. Make them the same as Biden's law, you get some federal cash. And what did Simone Sanders say to that? She said, well, okay, so the '94 crime bill's not perfect. And of course, you got these sorry sellouts like Jamel Hill, Joy Reid, and others who attack the black grassroots and attack the black media in specific full time. I personally called out Corinne Stank-Pierre on Twitter. She blocked me, of course, so the White House propagandists already know about us. And rather than change their ways so they could get black support, instead they doubled down and tripled down on lying. In yesterday morning's briefing, I showed you how Joy Reid lied about us in 2019 when Biden was running. She lied and said that anybody talking about reparations is part of a Russian disinformation campaign. Now, there's only a handful of people who are actually talking about reparations, the black media. It would have been very easy, don't you think, for her to say, you know what, I'm going to confront some of these so-called reparations advocates. Why didn't she do that? Because the entire purpose of what she was doing was to lie about us, to set us up to be mass deplatformed. This was not about actually proving anything. This wasn't about truth. It was about suppressing the truth. If we truly were nothing more than just Russian bots, then shouldn't it have been easy for her to say, hey, these people online, people like this Tariq Nasheed guy and Professor Black Truth, and people like Tarian Rain and Lisa Cabrera and others, these people are all Russian bots. Because you've had people like Tim Pool and others who have recently had their own scandals regarding where their money comes from. Shouldn't it have been easy for her to do the same thing to us? But she couldn't, because it was a lie. She platformed a liar like Shireen Mitchell, who said that if any black person is saying they want something for their vote, they're a Russian bot. You know, demanding something for your vote, that's democracy. Or so I was told. Voting is supposed to be about telling a candidate what they have to do to get your vote. They pledge to do it, and that's how you decide who to vote for. Now, if my issues and needs are being ignored, then I've got no reason to vote at all. That's democracy too, by the way. Democracy means rule of the people. It does not mean rule of the candidates, and it doesn't mean rule of their bootlicks either. It means rule of the people. And when the people decide that they're going to sit an election out, what they're doing is they're casting the most powerful ballot of all. They are casting a vote of no confidence in whoever happens to be in office. That's what put Trump back in the White House. Hell, that's what put him in the White House in the first place in 2016. Biden made all of those phony promises in 2020, from his White House Police Accountability Commission to his so-called Lift Every Voice plan, and all of it was lies. No sooner than he actually got declared the winner, he immediately said, I ain't doing none of that stuff. We gave him control of the White House, control of the Congress, and he took office and he used it to pursue legalization of illegal aliens and everything except for black people's concerns. He thought that that was going to be the Democrats' new base. That's what he was trying to do. And you had people like Rahm Emanuel ranting like a lunatic about so-called Biden Republicans that they were hoping to attract. By that, what he meant was largely white suburban women. That's what he really meant. Well, these Biden Republicans never materialized. All of these were just schemes employed by the Democrats for them to find a way to hold office without having to do anything that black people were demanding. They were trying to find an end run around us by putting together a new constituency, one of non-FBA voters. And when black voters called this out, you had garbage like Joy Reid and Don Lemon and Jamel Hill and others running interference for the Democrats. Why, you can't be making any demands. It's about democracy, don't you know? A democracy that we have never enjoyed. You can't criticize the Republicans for doing nothing for black voters and then attack black people when we demand the Democrats do things for us. The only consistent thing about all of these white media mouthpieces for both parties is that they say black people shouldn't get anything. And that's what caused the fall of both the Democrats and the left corner of the white media. But you know, in spite of Jamel Hill's nonsensical rantings and ravings, this woman spent over 30 minutes saying absolutely nothing. She did, however, miraculously manage to have a single moment of clarity with which she actually uttered something that I do agree with.
Whoever are your favorite journalists, you need to support them. Bottom line, because even like many of you are saying in the comments, we support you, which, we certainly are appreciate, or like in terms of starting your own. I don't know what Joy's plans are for next, but let's just say, as many of you suggested, that she create her own YouTube channel and kind of do what Don Lemon has done. The whole point is support your faves, support your favorite journalists.
She's got a point. I go for that. We do have to support our favorite journalists. And since she's talking about Joy Reid here, I think we should support her too. The exact same way that she supported us. Good day, and be one. I'd like to take a moment to mention some of our contributors. One Good Ace, Michael Moore, Frederica Moore, Antonio Daniels, and Suleiman Alaji. Salute to them and thank you to everyone for listening, liking, and sharing this message. Black empowerment only exists because of you.
And there it is, right? Like, subscribe, share. I'm gonna add a link to the, in my comments section on Facebook, and then, I attach it on YouTube too. I just figured I had to do a show like this again because I'm my content is gaming, but it's mathematics. It's the mathematics behind gaming. I like to say game theory, group theory. Those are two higher level mathematics that I'm, studying and on my own. But I do have a degree in, algebra, geometry, and calculus. A Bachelor of Arts, Bachelor of Science kind of understanding of the mathematical universe that we exist in. So, and my love for hip hop. I've been born in it. I wear it around like a nice warm robe, right? And that's what Professor Black Truth represents to me. I think he's Generation X too. But he presents it in his way, and I love listening to his content. You'll notice he didn't cuss at all. But the moment he said the Legion of Coons, all right, they gonna block him. You know what I mean? It's you're talking bad about your own people, and then it's not good when you got the white media laughing too at, your jokes. because it's like, nah, y'all shouldn't be finding that funny. Y'all supposed to cut the check, help us build our black community, you know, instead of trying to simulate everything like y'all a bunch of Borg. But now that's Star Trek. We'll get to that. That's the future. Star Trek is the future. Star Wars is the past. Star Wars happened a long, long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to really, that's basically what I'm trying to do. Hey son, you want to be a Jedi? Nah, Dad. You want to be a Sith? Nah, Dad. We're going to be acolytes, right? The Sith got issues. They got mental health issues. The Sith like to go, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you, I hate you. That's what Anakin did, right? Obi-Wan, you know, all he like it's, you know, he raised him as best as he could. I loved you like a brother, right? But he taught him, hey, I got the higher ground, then had to cut his legs off, left him there for dead. Can't kill your own brother, right? I'm not saying that's a weakness of the Jedi. I'm saying it's a strength. But I'm an acolyte, I ain't involved. That's what makes us multi-powerful. But yeah, some acolytes like to do that, like to kill. And that's why they're actually worse than the Sith. I'm not saying we better than the Jedi. You know what I mean? The Jedi just like to sit in a circle. We're more like the diameter. Pi times the amount of turns, right? An irrational number. Making sense of the rationality of life. That's the epistemology I'm spitting over here. Like, yeah, you got to actually write that down, do the mathematics, and see if it's logically correct. You see, when I subtract negatives, I get addition. If you listen, I'm spitting dope lyricisms in hieroglyphics. So that was Professor Black Truth. I'm going to move along because I got a lot of them to share today. I want to try to keep this under an hour. You know, I probably lost y'all already, but hey, come check out the, remaining half or whatever. I might cut this version up, and I'm just going to drop it and leave it on there forever, and share with the other content creators because I do enjoy. This is BGS is who I'm sharing next, and I'm actually on the show, so I figured hey, I'm gonna go on BGS show and then, copy, and then record it and then share it with everybody. So here's my appearance on BGS. All I did was I went in his comments section, made 2 comments, and he responded to my comments and dropped some bars. I mean, I was like, yo, that was dope, yo. So I can, I can elaborate on that. And but I'm just going to share what he said and what he was sharing. So that we can have a better understanding what was DEI exactly, because that's one of the things that Joy Reid was pushing all the time, and that's what the Democrats keep pushing, DEI. So we're still trying to understand that acronym, diversity, equity, inclusion, and how does that really help people get it freedom, justice, and equality? When it comes to foundation of Black Americans, it actually destroyed our fatherhood, our brotherhood of man, right? The fatherhood of God. It destroyed it. So, or should I say defunded it, us, or broke up the family, right? The father's the center of the family. He's supposed to be the head of the family. You cut off the head, right? Now, then you get the Hydra, right? So it is, they do got black women looking like Hydra right now. So, and that's more like the Avengers, ironically, right? So, but they're anti-heroes, as Professor Black Truth was just saying. But here's BGS. This one, I think this first one is short. I'm gonna share it, and then I'm gonna go into 2 more different ones. I'll say them afterwards, and I'm jumping right into it. And 3, 2, hold on, let me click on that right there, and 1. There it is.
That's why I think I'm gonna start pushing this kind of stuff to the Patreon. Okay. Instead of putting it out here in public, okay, because it's starting to frustrate me.
This is insane. This is wow. And Sharpton is still up there talking about he's quote unquote the disciple of Dr. King. How dare he?
So the question posed here is: the structure is moving us from making radical decisions. So that means dealing with sacrificing our comforts in a way that pushes change. Are you all saying boycotting doesn't work?
I am.
I mean, in the way that we're talking about doing it, no, it doesn't work, right? You need to have a large scale, everybody says, F these people, we're not doing it, right? You need a worker strike. That's the type of boycott that will work, right? For your own individual.
Like the fire chief in LA in LA, okay? DEI hire. She checked 3 boxes. Okay, she was lesbian, white, lesbian, and female. Okay, and she just got fired. And you're not asking a question, man. I didn't see a question mark in that statement.
Individual appeasement of not wanting to give your little pennies and dollars and cents to a particular company because you disagree with their values and things like that, sure. Are we going to change Target in any way, shape, or form if the whatever number of Black people choose they're not going to buy at Target anymore? Don't buy. No, Target does not care. If Target thought for 1 second that ending their DEI policy in a public way was going to change their profit margin, they would not do it. Period. Because that's what they care about. They don't care, right? So it is about understanding the limitations of boycotting, right? And especially this nonsensical
Hey, Mookie, put my name on it, okay? In fact, I might have a picture of Louisville Slugger.
boycotting of Costco as they shit on their workers. Like, can we just stop? Like, I can't.
That's a crazy good point. And then the other part of it is, what is the victory people are looking for with a boycott? So what would the victory be if to Renee's point, if every single Black American in this country, if every non-white person in this country stopped buying at Costco for however many months, they would feel it and they might make a change. But what then would that change be? To get 3% more of people of color on the board of directors or whatever we were just showing? Like, is that like that's the goal? Like, what is the actual victory that people, so that's part of what I think is the problem here, that we've been inhibited from considering. This is why I really appreciate what John was saying earlier, that we've been inhibited from even considering what a socialist or a better kind of economy would look like. Like, what we don't, I keep talking about the Bob Marley song, we don't want more. We're not at, so what do we ask? So they're going to, so if Target tomorrow said, my bad, y'all, my bad, we're going to put the rainbows back up, the Black Lives Matter t-shirts back up, we're going to hire 1 more Asian woman so we can knock off 2 check marks, and we're going to put her on the board of directors. What? Like, what? Does everybody say?
Well, be about peace. I'm happy it's never affected you, okay? But do you represent all 40 million Black people? Asking for a friend.
Say, all right, we back at it, like, what? And then what you bringing up, Renee, is really perfect. I mean, we're not even able to consider that while they're doing this, they're shitting all over the labor struggles of people who work at Costco. So it's like, by the way, one of the arguments that I was looking at from back in the day around this whole buying power claim is that, and I can't credit the person right now, forgive me, but the point was that when Black workers are encouraged to focus explicitly or exclusively rather on their concerns around hiring, labor practices, whatever, they are, and they get caught up with this whole buying power.
Reagan broke the power of the union back in '83 when he started going anti-union. He broke the air traffic controller union, okay, back in '83. That's actually broke the unions way back then. It's never recovered. So Obama and his gig app has nothing to do with it, okay? It might have just one more log on the already burning fire.
Our argument, they are drawn out of the labor movement. That narrow focus on don't buy where you can't work, or boycott at Costco and not at Target, is like the modern form of that claim, that the focus on in the language of today, DEI and include, equity, whatever, is drawing, the Sharpton call is drawing the Black audience that listens to him out of the broader labor struggle, that they should be encouraged to be joining, not saying, not ignoring by this narrow focus on what isn't even their interest. Like, it's not even, I want to say their interest. It's not even a black interest. Like, that's what I'm like, it's not even like black people would win something here as they're being encouraged to work against the labor movement. It's not even, there's nothing there.
Right. And that, so Robin, and what Jared just said is actually key to the answer to this question, discussing this boycotting and buying situation compared to the BDS calls for boycotts. So what people are boycotting is a refusal to have in writing a policy that allows for black capitalism, right? The BDS movement is requesting people do not support companies or organizations that are literally giving the money to Israel to kill off the Palestinians, right? I don't even know if you can compare these two situations, right? In a way that is, for me, something that, and not that your question is wrong, but that for the broader audience of people who may say, well, you would boycott Israeli products, you're boycotting them because they are literally giving money to a group of people that are killing off an entire population of people, right? So the ask for that BDS is, do not give money to people who are killing other people, right? The ask for the boycott at Target is, put the black people back on the shelves so that the black capitalists can continue to make money. So that, to me, is
that's a perfect example of my point. What is the ask? And is not I'm not an expert on this at all, but is not the BDS movement also more explicitly connected to in the occupation call, or is it just isn't it part of a broader? So like that's what I'm saying. What is the greater ask of any of these so-called boycotts? And folks, I would really encourage we look more carefully.
The 4B movement never got started in America because it doesn't apply. Okay. In Korea, it's still going on. 4B movement doesn't apply in America, okay? That's why it never got started.
The history of boycotts and black liberation. Some of the narratives are incomplete at best.
Wildly incomplete. Like you have to be able to cripple something in order for a boycott to serve the legitimate purpose of forcing the hand of the person in control of that thing to change something. The reason the bus boycotts worked is because people were willing to walk miles to work, back and forth
for 370 days,
for a year, right? In order to force people to just be able to get on the freaking bus and be comfortable.
In one municipality, in one city, in one community, one place. That was it. We're talking now about international.
Yeah, I started liking the video, right? Well, I'm almost at the end of the getting ready to punch out anyway.
So, as you can see here, I got to do some homework on that one. Not to the fact that he attacked me, you know what I mean? Because when in the 80s, my dad was a steel worker, so he was a part of that union, and I lived through that union being dismantled, and my dad having to go through a transition, and he actually got ahead of the game with that transition. He went to the first, I think, do 25 years or whatever, how many years he was there. He was there for a while, 20 years. That way he get his pension and everything. And then he, educated himself. He went back to school, and he started his own business in so many words, and that was very educational for me as well, watching him experience that. When I was a young buck, I was maybe 12. They had a family day at his job at SKF, and I remember going there and seeing, like, it was nothing but lava, and it was hot, and it stank, and you know what I mean, and seeing the work conditions that my dad was going through in order to make ball bearings for NASA parts, so what they kept changing, what they were making the steel for, because he was a steel worker, and ingesting that smog and all that good stuff, and it was like, yo, pop, like let me go get a job at Kmart. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was, my dad really going through something in order to, provide and teach us, and his other way of teaching was taking us, to a softball game. He was the manager of a softball team called the Knights. So we'll talk more about that later on too. But yeah, he that was me that gave him, pointing out that, because what I experienced with Obama was, I was doing these gig gaps for these past 4 years, and when I'm showing up there, it's people from it's 4 different apps showing up at the same time, and it's like, yeah, I could be a member of all 4 different apps, and now they got us fighting. Like that's the unions, four unions showing up to do one job, and we're fighting for a job at any of these locations that that need outside help for the day, or and and they might have their own union already in the building. So it's like you'll go into a building, there be 4 different unions already in there. So if one of the unions strike, your replacement is already there, and it's it is a defragmented, broken union, and that's kind of what's happening with the black media. Like like Jamil and what's the name? They're their own union. You know what I mean? And then what BGS and Professor Black Truth, and then now I'm about to share Judge Joe Brown. And this Judge Joe Brown one that I'm sharing is because he actually goes over how did the name change. I'm talking about as far as being black, or as being African American, or Afro American, or like why is that or Negro? Why is that keep on changing? See, if we go all the way back to and that's what BGS is right. As we go back in time, and I go back to say Booker T. Washington, you see Booker T. Washington is calling himself Negro, whereas W.E.B. Du Bois is calling himself colored people. The battle goes all the way back to there. Even W.E. Du Bois has a book called The Soul of Black Folk, where he's using sociology to analyze the psychology of the black man, of the origins of the African American, is what that book is basically about, and how we used or changed the fundamental definitions of those words in order to come to what we're at today, where we're still arguing over, is it African American like Barack Obama, or is it black like Joe Brown? Joe Brown is like, nah, I just use black. I ain't got time for all that, these game plays. But that's what I'm gonna share right now with Judge Joe Brown. So check this out, fair use still, and enjoy. And I'm making my way through all these.
And that's what they went after him with. And it was a 15-page indictment that was rife with all sorts of descriptions, lurid descriptions. And usually in the federal system, you would have gotten 2 pages of indictment, not 15. So there was a grandstand show which was using the access to a friendly media environment to engage in propaganda efforts and activities. So I'd pass the mic. That's just a brush up view on it.
All right, sway me.
Good evening, Dana, Judge
Hi.
Joe Brown. How are you? Judge, I was there at the White House and I missed you. I didn't see you there, but it was so crowded and so many people. I was just excited to be there at the White House that my freedmen ancestors built, and then the greeting and all the people. It was very, very nice, and I agree with you. I have some questions though. I heard some people are upset because they felt like there was a lot of symbolism. I wanted to ask you, what did you think about that, and if you felt that it was a great deal of symbolism, as well as I'll get to the next question after that. What do you think? Do you feel and think that that was a great deal of symbolism at the event?
It depends on what you're calling symbolism. See, in terms of the symbolic methodologies of making a nation, that's why we have these statues. The heroic equestrian statue, where if you're in Firenze, meaning Florence, you see all of these great knights from 500-600 years ago with a sword held high in the air, mounted in battle armor on a war horse. Or you see a Civil War leader mounted on a horse. It's symbology. It's sort of saying these are great guys. Look, we want you to emulate them. Look, we're making them heroes. We're making subject to statuary. So there's nothing wrong with those images. And if you were there at the White House, you remember when he made the remarks about some of the statues he was going to put around the White House, Frederick Douglass, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, which is like, wow, you'd very seldom get anybody in American politics or holding an American office talking about they're going to put statues of those guys up. But yeah, you had the imagery. That's just going with the trappings of government. You see the Brits, the Queen or now the King, who does actually nothing when it comes to governing the country. They do all the pomp and circumstance when they ride in the 150-year-old gilded carriages drawn by all of the white horses with the mounted hussars or dragoons or escorting the carriages or the carriage to wherever they're going to a formal parade. It's about circumstance. But anyway.
Yeah, I agree. I love the fact that he was recognizing our ancestors that literally did stand up for this nation in many multiple ways. And that were true patriots of America, right? So with that though, I noticed that he self-corrected. He did start saying African American, and within the speech he self-corrected and began saying Black Americans. And a great deal of people, we're offended by the African American. We don't like that term since it was just put up on us, right?
I didn't get put up on us. How that developed in my lifetime is by the time I got out of high school, Negro was kind of, wow, why are we trying to, tiptoe around this thing? And then about 1966, 65, late 65, early 66, Black got in. There was a lot of a resistance to doing that. Then about 67, 68, it became Afro-American. And then it went back to being Black. And then somewhere in the early, mid-70s, it started drifting from Black back to Afro-American for a few months, it just seemed like. And then it went African-American. And it stayed that way until about 5 or 6 years ago, some of us on Twitter and other social media platforms. I know I did. I just got sick of listening to this little tiptoeing around the obvious, and I started using Black, and some other people did too. And now it's Black. So it's sort of like, how do you think of yourself? And there are people that get offended by the use of the term Black. So they are amongst us. And using African American was a sop to that. And then you have this thing with the federal forms. It goes the first block, are you Hispanic, non-Hispanic? If you check non-Hispanic, then you go to the next set of questions. And if you are Hispanic, you skip them and they don't even want to know. They just consider you this mass ethnic group of Hispanics. But if you aren't, then you get asked, are you white or Caucasian? Are you Black or African American? And then it goes on to other categories. So I think what he was doing was taking what's on the government forms, Black/African American. So I don't hold that against him.
Oh yeah, I don't hold it against him. I love that he self-corrected from African American to Black American, because I remember Jesse Jackson putting that African American out there,
And
yeah.
Jesse didn't get it. He didn't create it. It was
Okay.
out there.
Well, and then what do you think about him making Alice Johnson the pardon czar?
Bad mistake. Bad mistake.
Okay.
He gave a recitation about her that he got from Know Nothing on the Subject, Kim Kardashian. She heard a radio broadcast from somebody that was unalterably opposed to prison sentences for drug dealing. I had at least 6 first-degree murder cases in my courtroom where she took the hits out. she kept her mouth shut, refused to make a statement, and in American law, you cannot convict anybody on the uncorroborated statements of an accomplice, which is somebody going along with the crime. Allegedly, what was going on is she took the hits out. When she got finally busted, she wasn't a grandmother. She was in her early mid-30s. And it was one of the third or fourth largest busts in DEA history. They got her for $87 million in cash she had in her immediate possession, and the street equivalent of 19,000 pounds. That's 9.5 tons of coke. And she is responsible for the crackheads and crack babies from Florida all the way up to Chicago in the United States in the late 80s and early 90s. She was working with there was a war going on between the Colombian and the Mexican cartels, and she was with one side and she had opposition with another, and there was some horrible contract murders going on at the time. So I don't agree with it.
Okay.
Right now, a lot of her lieutenants that worked for her are still finishing up long and lengthy federal sentences. So I don't agree with that.
And next I got Detroit HD. I shared him before. His take on DEI, and then I'm one more BGS. So I'm just going to jump right into. I'm just going to keep flowing with these. Take notes, and then I'll chop up my responses. Is how I'm thinking about how I'm gonna do this. I can elaborate on everything that they're saying, but I'm just gonna let them speak. That's what BGS did. He let me speak. I just send him a question, and I'm gonna continue on with that. So here comes Detroit HD. Shout out to him. I'm gonna link in the description. Fair use, First Amendment. Right? We have the freedom of speech. Anybody that tells you to shut up, they're trying to take away your freedom, especially if you're giving them knowledge, wisdom, if you're giving them truth, love, and courage. They don't want to use their knowledge, wisdom, and understanding to understand what you're talking about. They're the ones with the issue. That's why they're telling you to shut up, because they don't understand. And they have to look in the mirror. They got to get this dirt out of their eye, the log that's in their eye. It's not you. A lot of time it's them. It's not me, right? I'm happy. It's the children they're not happy. So all I can do is teach them. So I try to teach them game theory. Hey, let's play some checkers. Let's play some chess. Let's play some, you know what I mean? Hey, little girls, let's play some hop. Why don't I see little girls playing hopscotch or jumping rope anymore? And I want to say it's the children's fault. Think about that, all right? So here comes Detroit, and then we're going to go right into BGS.
Who's coming out pursuing black social issues as if Chinese don't have social issues. Do you know that China experienced racism under Japan, to where dogs had more rights in China under the rule of Japan? We have to stop acting like we live in an echo chamber, to where people can come out and say things and we just repeat it. Because just General was bad for the military because he's a liberal leftist, not a warrior.
Career where I was often the only African American in my squadron, or as a senior officer, the only African American in the room. I'm thinking about the pressure I felt to perform error-free, especially for supervisors I perceived had expected less from me as an African American. I think about having to represent by working twice as hard to prove their expectations and perceptions of African Americans were invalid. I'm thinking,
this is crazy talk, because to be a general, you have to outperform lieutenants, captains, colonels, majors, sergeants, privates. You have to outperform everybody in the military to rise to be a general. And then you get to be a general, and then you tell the rest of the people that they can't make it. Really? This victim Olympics is merely a tool of the left to keep people on that Democratic plantation. Here is a general in the military, not no lieutenant, not even the captain. This is the general. And he's having an emotional response to social issues within the framework of a country that's still trying to become a more perfect union. This is why he was fired.
About the airmen who don't have a life similar to mine and don't have to navigate through two worlds. I'm thinking about how these airmen view racism, whether they don't see it as a problem since it doesn't happen to them, or whether they're empathetic. I'm thinking about our two sons. Now we had to prepare them to live in two worlds. Finally, I'm thinking about my historic nomination to be the first African American to serve as the Air Force Chief of Staff. I'm thinking about the African Americans that went before me to make this opportunity possible. I'm thinking about the immense expectations that come with this historic nomination, particularly through the lens of current events plaguing our nation. I'm thinking about how I may have fallen short in my career and will likely continue falling short living up to all those expectations. I'm thinking about how my nomination provides some hope, but it also comes with a heavy burden. That's what I'm thinking about. I wonder what you're thinking about. I want to hear what you're thinking about and how together we can make it.
Good morning, General. General, do we have too many white officers in the Air Force?
Now listen how he's talking. With him being a general in the military, as it relates to him, you know what I'm thinking about? Can he lead them troops on the battlefield in a fashion that minimizes American loss and threats effectively? That's what I'm thinking about. Can he lead them into battle with minimal casualties and effectiveness, period? He's a general in the Army, going to be chief of staff. At this point, why is the race card even necessary? If I was the general, I wouldn't be screaming racism, 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 because I would command an army. And I would empower my soldiers because I have power as a general. The victim card would no longer be necessary. Let's listen to some more.
Senator, what I really look at is the quality of all the officers that we have, and we look at the aspect of everyone who's qualified, meets the qualifications, is promoted. And
Well, I would agree with you, but that answer is not consistent with your August 9th memo. In your August 9th memo, you said that you signed on to that there should be a reduction essentially of about 9% of the white officers. That's 5,400. We have 5,400, too many white officers. And this is the real impact, I think, of this desire of the administration. I'm saddened to see this in this memo.
Now think about what he's in front of Congress for. He's a general charged with defending the country. And instead of defending the country, he's waging social warfare within the military. Too many white officers. But yet he's the general and he's black. But yet black people only make up a small percentage of the American population. Partly that being done due to the fact that since Roe versus Wade, they've been responsible for over 25 million terminations of pregnancy, which would have caused our numbers and power as a community to far exceed where we are now, had it not been for Roe versus Wade and availability and encouragement of termination of pregnancy. Think about that. Over 20 million terminations of pregnancy among one group of people. We were voting for our own genocide and extinction. But you don't want to talk about that.
This obsession with sort of race-based politics being interjected into our military. How did you come up with the percentage of 67.5% of the officers should be white? And how did you come up with 13% should be black? And how did you come up with 10% should be Asian? And how did you come up with 1.5% should be American Indian and Native Alaskan? How did you come up with 1% being Native Hawaiian or other Pacific Islander? And how did you come up with 15% of our officers should be Hispanic or Latino?
Senator, that is based on that memo is on application goals, not the actual makeup of the force. And those numbers are based on the demographics of the nation.
Okay, well, all right.
Okay, first off, that's not even his job. So he's sitting there with his vision of how many white officers should be, how many Mexican officers they should be, how many Chinese officers they should be, based on a quota, not effectiveness and not warrior skills. You know what I'm saying?
And it's crazy. I can't even play my game. I'm into watching these little clips more than, let me play, and so that I can elaborate. But it's like, why do I have to elaborate? Like, that's why I'm confused. Like, this is what I watch. What do you watch? And you watch, I guess, Joy Reid and, Jamil Hill and nobody mentioned, Boyce Watkins, but that's ADOS. ADOS has beefs with Boyce Watkins. All right, cool. ADOS is their own thing, right? That's what FBA is. That's where I'm trying to explain. Like, no, it's FBA is the community. The Hip Hop Alliance is the culture. Those are the two sets that are coming together to make our hip hop nation. ADOS, I'm sorry, y'all too caught up in the Democratic Party to effectively help us, because you're still, and then all y'all do is talk about the baby boomers and silent generation and all the dumb moves that they make. Most example being Al Sharpton wanting to go to Costco instead of going to, using their wealth to support my station, for example, or, BGS and all the other ones that are actually putting the work in to create this underground hip hop, I still call it hip hop, but it's our cultural community. And I'm gonna end with BGS right now. I'm gonna jump right in. I did an hour, and I'm gonna end it with BGS, where who I came with second with, right, and then. And then I'll redo everything and clips or whatever, because the topic is still the same. It's still DEI is what we're talking about, and what, even Tim Black, I shared his videos. What is DEI and how did it help us? It didn't. It destroyed us, right? 2020, I was working the pandemic. I'm in the front of my store. They had me put the rainbow in front of my store, and then the man came in, and it's like, okay, you got the sign up, yeah, yep, and then that next week I had to take a fraud, waste, and abuse, and then the week after that, we got to terminate you because you're trying to commit fraud. Like, wait a minute, what? You're pretending to be a black man, I guess. Or you pretend you're too heteronormative, and that's the discrimination that I've experienced for the past 4 years. DEI, it's against heteronormativity. No, we black man, black woman, black children. That's a no. So when we're saying 2 out of 3 black children are grow up in single parent homes, and DEI is pushing towards, no, we got to make that 100% kids growing up in single parent homes. And that's what's happening. It's not coincidental that all these Divine Nine Divine Nine, I'm the leader, I'm the black woman, and it's, no husband, no kids, no, like, you know what I mean? And then as soon as you point that out, you get the response of a bastard. No respect for the fatherhood of man. All right? There it is, in a nutshell. And jump right into it. And
the person said it's not all male. Okay, so this is not black manosphere. It's not white manosphere. This is not MAGA people. It's not Republican. These are far left wing people. These are socialists, as close as you can get to communists without being communists. Okay, that should embrace this, right? Why are they saying that it's bullshit? Because it is for black people. Okay. If you want to give welfare to white women, that's fine. If that's your thing, you like Becky that much to give her a job that she doesn't deserve, that's fine. Don't care. The thing is, I'm getting tired of black people and black women getting up on the podium and championing this. Okay? I'm getting tired of that shit. Why do you think white men say that DEI is for black people? It's because your black woman is getting up there, standing in the wake, instead of letting Becky step up and say it for herself. If Becky starts saying that we're suffering from lack of DEI, guess what? The narrative will change. But black women have to stop holding and carrying Becky's water. That's what's going to happen. And this is one black woman. That's why I played her especially, is because she's a black woman and a leftist, okay, and a socialist saying what needs to be said. And if she says it and she's far left, that means us in the middle, okay, us in the middle can say it. Us in the middle can believe that's the truth, okay? So it's not just the right people on the right side saying, it's also the people on the left side saying the same goddamn thing with numbers. With numbers. Stop the goddamn false propaganda. Stop watching MSNBC and CNN. I'm getting tired. Every time I look up, I'm seeing a CNN clip, okay? Getting tired of hearing these lying motherfuckers, okay? I really am. Okay? I love embrace Bay and embrace villainy, okay, in his shows and stuff like that, but I get tired of seeing fucking CNN and MSNBC clips. Because they're lying bastards, okay? They've been lying bastards. That's how come their ratings are going down, is because they were caught lying, okay? That's why Bezos had to bail. Bezos said, I'm not going to lose my newspaper because you guys want me to lie. That's how come he didn't back Kamala Harris. He said, I'm not going to participate in this lie and lose my newspaper. I don't get, at this point, I don't give a shit what black women do, okay? Don't give a shit, okay? Stop complaining at us. Go talk to Becky. Go talk to Brad about your complaints. Leave us the fuck alone. Black men have it hard enough. Trying to get us to support bullshit. Because you want Becky's crumbs. Get the entire fuck out of here. Black women love that white woman more than what a white man does. Actually, I ain't gonna even say it. If black women could step over Becky and get that white man, she would. Black women would still throw Becky under the bus in a heartbeat if she could take her place. Don't get it twisted. Anyway, I'll play a little bit more of this and then we're out of here because I'm ready to punch out. In fact, I'm working overtime right now.
Conglomerates that are themselves owned by even more international and boundless private equity groups. They're not affected. And if people, I don't even think, I just saw something else. I won't get into it now, but I really don't think we understand to what extent ownership is consolidated. And this is why boycotts of these massive entities are not the move people think that they're going to be. It would require an international labor movement. that would
right. It's just vastly.
I don't want to keep calling up dead white men, but that's why he said workers of the world unite. That was the point. Because you can't. I mean, I'm just.
You know, I wish they would actually sit down and teach the whole history instead of the bits and pieces that they want to feed us, because these people feed propaganda just as much as everybody else. Basically, they don't teach the whole history. Okay. Even Wolf doesn't teach the whole history. Okay. I had to sit down with Green Gorilla. We had to go over the whole history about why this stuff actually came about. Had to read slave narratives and slave books to actually figure out why the whole history came about. Okay. And once you put it all together, it's really not that hard. Okay. It's really pretty simple. Okay. But they make it complex because they want to keep their position. All this shit is not that hard to understand. If you put that shit in order and how it happened and why it happened, all this shit makes sense, including civil rights. It all makes sense. If you put all the pieces together, it actually makes sense. Okay? It's not that hard. I don't know, man. I'm getting it's getting on my nerves. Okay? Black women are getting Nigerian husbands deported here. Disposable. Okay? Black men are disposable to black women. Okay? And Hey, black males. I'm putting my email address down there, man. Send me some shit, man. I would love to hear that one. Man, send me some shit about that one. I will definitely do some videos on that, okay? Send me some shit about that, man. I will definitely do videos on that one. I would love to hear that. I can't wait. But I'm going to step over Becky for illegal Pedro for these past 4 years. That's another. Oh, man, this is it's going to be interesting, okay? Basically, Biden came in and actually enforced those policies to put immigrant hires, okay? Believe it or not. Anyway, all I got to say is this, y'all, okay?
What's up, boss? You believe that? You hold on. Oh no. Do you believe that? Huh? Oh no. Yeah. Oh no. Come on. Do you believe?
That's why I play this stuff out of other people's mouths, okay? Because there's always BGS, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. BGS, you're making this shit up. BGS, you're reading it wrong, okay? So I play people. Now, these people, if I went on their panel, they would not like me, okay? I would be the skunk at the garden party with these people. But they're saying the exact same shit that we have been saying for years. Exact same shit that my scholars have been telling me for years, okay? For years. And when Trump actually does something about it, oh my God, get the fuck out of here. Anyhow, let me put a like in my on my video, please. Do me that favor. If you can't afford $1, which I understand, you can't afford a like. Put a like on my name. Put some spec on my name, okay? I would say about 90. I wouldn't say 99.99. About 90. I'm wrong. Okay. I'm wrong. Hell, if I was 50-50, I'd still be pretty good. If I was just 50-50, I'd still be pretty good. But anyhow, y'all, let me get up out of here. And I will see you guys tomorrow. I have no idea what I'll be talking about. Maybe some more black female fuckery, okay?
And there it is, you know what I'm saying? Now, what I sent him is when I texted him, I kind of ended the show. That's why he went straight to Dion. Like, that's the truth right there. Like, I found myself at a warehouse, and I was moving water with a pallet jack, and these immigrants was they were driving the forklift. So it was like, all right, it was kind of becoming my turn. I was there for a year. It was my turn to become, to get on the forklift. But instead it was like, nah, we're not gonna help you. Like it's you know what I'm saying? You're not working hard enough. But I had one immigrant, he was I remember like it was yesterday. he was on the forklift, and we would rap. You know what I mean? I would play some hip hop or whatever, my music day or whatever. And this kid, he was a kid, and he's telling me like, "Yo, yeah, I'm you know what I mean? I'm not, not really supposed to be here. I got a John. She married, and he don't know about it. I got another John that I know. You know what I mean? That it's my son. You know what I mean? But look just like me or whatever. But she think it's somebody else, and it's like, yo, this shit is and now I'm cussing, right? Right? So it is. You know what I mean? Like when you're saying Black American and they're consistently going African American, it's like, all right, you're dealing with somebody that's, they not down with Booker T. Washington. They don't have a clue about W.E.B. Du Bois. Why was W. Du Bois? Why didn't he consider himself Black American? Why did he have to go with color people? Therein is the war of colorism that I'm trying to lay down. That's why I say, even with my B1 groups, it's like, it's sad that we can't, like, their hatred is saying when we say B1, it's, oh, they Black militants, right? But when dealing in my community of hip hop, I used to just be like, we brown, I'm brown, we brown, right? Now I'm facetiously pointing at the Kendrick and Drake thing, because Drake is actually Canadian. So that's another aspect of not like us. Like, yo, dude, you Canadian. Why even, like, you know what I mean? Like, but hey, I give much respect to Cardinal Official. He's a Black Canadian that's been doing hip hop since the 90s too. But we don't hear his voice, like we don't hear, just pick a name, Grand Poobah. It doesn't matter. Like it's so many, Brand Nubians. You don't listen to Brand Nubians. You know what I mean? You don't listen to the Juice Crew. I heard Big Daddy Kane say, he out of Kendrick, Drake, he picking J. Cole, and it's just like, oh, you're a punk. but I love you. Yeah, I love Big Daddy Kane. Big Daddy Kane, I got the Juice Crew too, because it is a crew thing. It has always been a crew, but it's break up the gang, break up the union. You know what I mean? EPMD was 3, Dougie Fresh and the Get Fresh crew with Slick Rick is 4, Boogie Down Production is 5. Number 1, Eric B. and Rakim. Does that include, the Def Jam, LL Cool J? No, I gave them Def Jam 0. They 0, right? That's the origin. They the origins, right? That's how much respect I give LL Cool J. At the same time, step your game up, L. You know what I mean? Be more Black. You know what I mean? But then as soon as I say, he's beige, it's, oh, that's colorism. Oh, you hate him because he, like, there it is. Like, nah, it's a joke amongst our own family. I give L a hug tomorrow, right? He knows I'm joking with him. You know what I mean? But it is an old joke. It's like, I don't even need to joke like that no more, right? Just be one, that's all. Be one. Be one. You know what I'm saying? That's what it is. B-E-O-N-E. Be one. All this black, brown, beige hate because we don't want to accept black being eternal, brown being strength. So I guess beige being a little combination of yellow, which is intelligence, white being purity, and brown strength. Even a little bit of red with courage is dope. But we want to see red and think fear. We want to see blue and think, I don't even know what y'all thinking. LGBT, like rainbow, like that's corny. Nah, blue is authority. You have the authority to take truth, love, and courage. Use your knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. And then, yes, you will achieve freedom, justice, and equality. It is that easy. So I'm going to end on that note. One God, our Father, all the time, hip-hop, life, love, one. That's God is love. Hip-hop is life. Time, that's holy. Y'all need to show more respect. Hit the like button, subscribe, share. And understand, Economics is the art of making the most out of life. Money is nothing more than the fourth dimensional illusion that doesn't really exist. Work on peace. Stop hating. Peace.